All right, Scarlett, I've got your math module program now. Thank you for getting those updated for me. Um, got a few things that were kind of off on it. Let's take a look. All right, let's start with the template. So, use Python Idle. You did that. Yeah, I'll check the box for you there. Type a heading as your name, date, and short description of your program. Looking at your program, you have the description. You don't have the name and date. Doesn't have your name and date on it, so that doesn't have. Indent things, meaningful names for all variables, like define your main function. Yeah, you have your main function right there. So we got that. Create a word problem. Yeah, you have. He's trying to find this 5 by 5 box. That's all good. So that's all good there. You did the cube, which is side length and everything's all the same size. So that's fine. So print description of the word problem. You got that. Uh, this you did not do. Ask the user to enter the information necessary. User is asked nothing. So this is where, and this is the thing about writing a program. So if you have this great program, and I'm like, oh great, I'm going to send this to everyone I know that use cube-shaped boxes, so they can find the volume and surface area of their boxes, right? Because they got to wrap them for Christmas and fill them with stuff. Great, I'm going to send this to them. Well, they better all be the exact same size because your program is not useful for anyone unless their box is exactly the same size as the one you got. Because you didn't ask them to enter the size of their box. Ask the user what's necessary to perform the calculations. Well, with this, they just have to enter a side link, and we can calculate the volume and surface area for them. And we didn't need to use 3.14. Print the results. You did print results. Um, I don't know if you really did any calculations. You did a little bit. You got pseudocode. Type name in, give descriptions, print define main, description, print math equation, find the volume, find the surface area. You're missing that user input. And then you have, there, let's learn how to input math code, calculator. Okay, so let's take a look at the program itself now. So again, you got the math import. That's great. You printed. Bob needs to find a perfect 5 by 5 box, and you have a variable called number and exponent 3. And you use the power function to take 5 to the third power, which is great because that would be the volume if the side length is 5. But again, if somebody has a different one, we don't need square root in this program. Yes, we learned how to do that in the lesson, but this does not involve taking the square root of anything. So that line is not even needed. So we don't calculate S anywhere. And it doesn't look like you used the S anywhere. You made a calculation there, squared a number, but you don't print it or you don't use it. So this is just a wasted line of code. It's not needed at all. So you print string number, so that's 5, to the power of exponent 3 is, and then whatever it calculates to be. Great. That would be the volume. So let's see what you did for surface area. Number changed to 6. Did the size of your box change between the surface area and the volume? Because it should be the same box. And you have an exponent of 5 for some reason. I'm not sure. Looking at the formula, it should be 6 times the side squared. I don't know where an exponent of 5 is going to come in. But you said string number 6 to the power of 5, and you don't calculate this anywhere. You don't, here you calculated what the number taken to an exponent is. You didn't do that calculation down here. You just typed a number, 150. And then you said the volume of their cube is 125 and the surface area is 150. So you printed this, but you don't calculate this anywhere. Let me run your program. Find a perfect 5 by 5 box. 5 to the power of 3 is 125. That's true, but that's basically the volume. 6 to the power of 5 is 150. That's not a true statement. Because if I pull up a calculator and say 6 to the power of 5 is 7,776. That's 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. That's 6 to the power of 5. It's not 150. Now, the surface area is 150 if the side length is 5, because we don't need to define number again. We already said the number was 5 up there, but this time you're squaring it. And so the surface area, we'll call it surf area, is 6 times power, and I'm using your variables. You have a side length of 5. So 5 taken to the new exponent of 2, 5 squared. And then the surface area is plus string surf area. We should let the program calculate that and print its answer, not type in an answer. Print the answer. Let's run it again. The surface area is 150 because 5 to the power of 2 is 1. Well, 5 to the power of 2 is 25. This line is not even needed. That's not really needed because that's the wrong calculations. First of all, it's 6 times per square. But it really, the biggest issue comes down to, we can leave it num. I'll leave it num. But we should ask the user how big their box is. Float input. How long is the length of one side of the box? And we're going to take out 5 by 5 box because we want this to work with any box. I want lots of people to be able to use your program. All right, let's run this. Oh, I didn't put another closing parentheses. I have 2 opening parentheses. I need 2 closing parentheses. All right, let's see if this runs. How long is the length? I'm going to say my box is 10. I got a 10 by 10 by 10 box. Okay, 10 to the power of 3 is 1,000. So the volume of the cube, the volume still says 125 typed in. And yet we calculated, this is actually instead of P, it's really volume. We'll change that to volume because that's what we calculated. And so instead of saying divided by the cube, we'll say is plus string volume because we're letting it calculate the volume. So let's print what it calculates. Volume is the number, the length, whatever the person enters, to the 3rd power right there. So let's clear it again. So my box is 10. So it says 10 to the power of 3 is 1,000. So the volume of the cube is 1,000. The surface area is 600. So that's where you really got in there, is that you limited to only 1 box. There's 1 box in the world that would work with your program. Now, any cube-shaped box, would work right there. So I'll get this to you, let you know what's wrong so you can improve that going forward, and we'll see you in class.